It's bag out time, so we got to put our bags out and then go catch our shuttle for our Denali Natural History Tour.
Nice.
So let's get this day started.
Look what I found! Look what I found! Look what I found! So excited!
Hi, I'm Matthew.
And I'm Susan. Together we love to travel.
One of our favorite places to be
is aboard a Norwegian ship at sea.
Good food, drinks, and friends.
Make a relaxing trip indeed.
So come along with us
as we let the sea set us free.
When the park was brand new, and it's a wonderful film that teaches you about how hard it was for them to build the road into our facility. This park is very unique in many ways. I know some of you have probably traveled to other national parks, but this is, and
So we are here at Denali Bus Depot. We watched the 17, almost 18-minute film, giving us a good introduction to the park's history. And inside, Matthew grabbed some coffees while I used the facilities, and now we're going to get back on our bus and travel into the park.
to you. One of the things you're going to notice right off the bat is that you will not find one bit of garbage anywhere. We are extremely serious about leaving no trace here. So that's why we want you to eat on the bus and not in the park. Okay, I have a regular white trash bag for regular trash, and the blue and white bag is for aluminum cans and plastic bottles only. If you have a plastic bottle, if you would please remove the top, put it in the regular garbage, and then put the plastic bottle in the recycle bin. We're very serious about leaving no trace here. It's very important to us. As far as animal stops go, I know I briefly told you about animal stops, but one thing that I didn't tell you is that we really want you to be prepared for any type of animal, even if we're out together. Now, you do not need any bear spray today. We will be together all the time. There is safety in numbers, okay? The animals hear us coming like the plague. We're a group of people talking, laughing, doing a lot of human things that animals hear from miles away. So you do not need to have your bear spray. If you do have bear spray on your belt, please take it off. Wrap it tightly in your book bag with the safety on. If that deploys in the bus, our tour will be over. We will have to get out and evacuate and wait for another bus to take us back. It is like tear gas. So please, if you have it on your belt, please take it off and put it in your book bag and make sure the safety is on. You won't need it today. If you are approached and you are by yourself by a moose, do you know what you should do?
Slowly back away?
You should run and get behind the biggest tree you can find. Okay? Most moose won't care about you very much, but if they have a baby, they will care.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? They will care very much. We had an incident not too long ago over here at the Riley campground. I called it stupid human tricks because humans were doing dumb, stupid things that they shouldn't do. These humans did not have their pets on a leash. We are not happy about pets in the park, folks. We are not. This is not your average park in the city where you can take your dog for a walk. Dogs really have no place in a wild place. But people still bring them, and the rule is they are not allowed on any trails and they must be leashed at all times. Well, neither one of those things happened, and the dog rushed the baby moose, and Mama Moose took care of that. I'm sorry to say. And I don't like any animal being hurt, but I don't blame that on the animal, I blame that on the human. They airlifted the animal to Fairbanks, but he did not make it. The summers at my grandfather's farm were always calling back to me. And about 3 years ago, I hung up my high heels and my suits in my corner office, and I totally changed my entire life. I did not retire. I will probably never retire, but I did not retire, but I did a total lifestyle change, and I became the ultimate country mouse. So welcome, city mice, to my country. The willow plant is very, very abundant in our park because it is such a food staple. The caribou love lichen, but they also love the willow plant, and Steve loves the willow plant too. So even our ptarmigan will eat the willow leaves and then eat a couple pebbles on the side of the road to help them digest their food. In a few minutes we'll be able to see if we can see anything this morning of our great one. That is the English translation of Denali, is the great one, or the high one. Range on our left. The Western Alaskan Range is where Mount McKinley is. And just to give you some scale about the mountains, our Eastern and Western Range, the mountains are anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 feet tall. But Mount McKinley is 20,300 feet tall. So it is quite the mountain. And we're gonna see the cabin that was in the campground in the movie. You notice that there was a cook's cabin and there was a dining cabin. We're gonna see the original kitchen.
Park Road. This was the first. When this was built in 1924, it was just down the road, not even an eighth of a mile on the south side, a little bit more open. This was built with a twin. When we leave, the first interpretive sign along the trail down to the right is going to show you a picture of this cabin when it was initially built. So it was two cabins that faced each other. They had a common roof line that would connect, and you could pull a dog team, you could pull a truck in between and unload to either cabin. Obviously, we don't have another cabin sitting where you're at, right? In 1940, they moved it to this location. They got it back into the trees and into the woods where it's a little bit more protected instead of out battered on the tundra. All of the other cabins, all the other 4 cabins that they built along the park road are all in tree areas. They're all in forested areas because they're a little bit more protection. The other cabin was moved over here. Well, it was turned into firewood because it had not been on the leeward side. But we get to enjoy this cabin. This is also the only one that's not on the historical register because it was moved from its original location where it was built. These are still very valuable. For the men who built the park road, it was about protection because in 1923, when they started construction, they were using tents as cook tents. Do you see a problem with using a tent in wilderness for food? It's not really gonna keep anything out, is it? So you're gonna see impacts on the cabin. There's like some scars, okay, used as scratching posts. You'll see them on both the posts. Also on the side of the cabin, you're gonna see both scratch marks on this side because it used it as a clawing post, but also there's bare nails that stick out from all of the shutters on all of these cabins. Whether the patrol cabins they built on the north side of the Alaska range, or outer range, excuse me, or the ones along the park road, they all are very similar in structure. Okay, they're gonna have those nails that stick outward from the shutters, above and below. So be careful on them. Nobody needs to get poked because that leads to paperwork. Yeah. Yeah. No paperwork. Yeah, exactly. So just be careful on them. But that's for bear protection. There's more than just the nails, okay, sticking outward. There's also 2 doors, right? This door opens outward. You don't want to see a lot of cabins in Alaska that open outward. Why? Yeah, you don't want to get trapped in, essentially, from snow in the wintertime. So this door opens outward for bear protection. It's much thicker than the inner door. So there is an inner door, and this is for, in the wintertime, if the rangers come out on patrol, that they can be able to shut a door instead of leaving a wide open gap. But there is a roof for a reason, to keep a lot of that snow at bay. But wind does bring in snow, so if they need to close the inner door and keep the outer door open so they can, get out, then they can. So bear protection. So when they were building these, they came from Delta. Delta is where they were assembled, and then they were disassembled, brought here, and reassembled by the Alaska Road Commission. They're made out of spruce. They're pretty sturdy, and the best rule of thumb is you build things from out of material from where they are going to sit. Okay, bad idea to not do that. So these logs are white spruce. So, and you got a lot of chinking in there, whether it's oakums or old rope torn apart, and then there's also some burlap in there. Most of these cabins that you're going to find out in Alaska are going to have anything that they can shove in there, honestly. I've seen t-shirts shoved in there. I've seen oakum, but I also have seen some sphagnum moss because it's out here and it's available. So they use whatever they had. And they still will come in and try to chink these logs because nobody wants a draft at 20 below. So when they were building the park road, these were for bear protection. This is kind of the hub of where all the activity was. This is the cook cabin. But now we look at what was happening in the wintertime. They weren't building the park road. So the rangers started using these cabins as patrol cabins. Because the other option is to sleep outside. So if you've ever spent the night out at 30, 40, or 50 below, it's not fun. Is it just me? Yeah, it's cold. I take a cabin anytime than staying in a tent. Okay, or even sleeping under the trees, which do shed a fair amount on some of these bigger trees. They will shed a fair amount of that moisture, whether it's snow or water. So if you ever get caught out in a rainstorm, the best place is probably right under that tree, right close to the trunk, because they stay pretty dry for the most part. But these were integral for the men, especially in the early years. They were out for 3 months at a time. So we've got a couple examples up here of some of the...
So this behind me here is Savage Cabin. We got to hear about the cabin as well as the different deer species that are in the park. Caribou, moose, and the bighorn sheep. Yes. So yeah, we got fun with antlers, got to hold them, take pictures, and got to see the inside of the cabin.
Now do that. Oh, do what? Us? Yeah, you too. And then do what? A selfie. Oh, that's good. You can get rid of the batteries. Okay, come on, Tom.
Cute.
Yeah, no, I hope, honestly.
No. I was just like, I knew it sounded like you were upset. I was just like, can you listen us forward for proper? Yeah, I've done that too for, and I was like, shit, I totally forgot they had.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, hello. Good morning. How are you all doing?
Good.
I'm Ranger Kate. You are headed into the part of Denali National Park and Preserve that not just everybody gets to get into, so congrats on doing it right. You'll notice out here there's a little less traffic, a little less, chaos of today's world. This is a little more like it always has been. However, there used to be people living here. Not a huge density of people, but there have been people who've lived here for a very long time, since time immemorial. The Dene people have lived here. Some of the rest of us just got here. And when we got here, we went, whoa, this is big. A little intimidating. One of the first people who had that experience and stuck around was Adolf Murray. He came around 100 years ago or so, and he ended up sticking around for several decades. So he was doing a lot of our studies in this area, looking at some of the animals and so on. So he did a lot of walking around the park. And one of his very first trips around the park, he was about 1.5 miles, 2 miles up this river. He says, I recall the first bear track I ever saw. One lone track in a patch of mud is all, but the track was a symbol and more poetic than seeing the bear. A bear track at any time may create a stronger emotion than the old bear himself, for the imagination is brought into play. You examine the landscape sharply, expecting a bear on every slope. The bear is somewhere and may be anywhere. The country has come alive with a new, rich quality. So enjoy that rich quality. There are tons of tracks out there. There are tons of slopes out there. And there are tons of little places where you think, what's back there? Have fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Ranger Kate. folks are going to still be looking out into the brush, and I'm going to be looking for ptarmigan for us. Does any? So I'm hoping that we see one or two. We haven't seen the females for a long time because they've been nesting. But in the last week or so, we've been seeing mama and her chicks everywhere. But we also have a resident red.
We are at Primrose. We got to hear from the native speaker. She was great. Over my shoulder here should be Mount McKinley, Mount Denali, but it is really cloudy, so we can't see it.
Bummer.
I know.
So you can barely make out the start of the ridge of Denali there. It's, I mean, would have liked to see more, but, you know, at least we saw the top yesterday for a brief second. We see a little part here today. It's still amazing being out here in this national park. It's just so massive and amazing. Just so massive.
On a part where there can only go one bus at a time. Pretty soon we'll be right back in. A couple people were asking me about how many people we've had successfully climb Denali. Anybody want to take a stab? 7,000. Over 7,000. You have to hike 30 miles just to get to the base. And then it is a very difficult climb after that. You're only allowed to climb Denali between mid-April and mid-June. Are you guys at the beginning or the end of?
Got some ravens making some noise.
Like, I want you to come in there and do it, don't. But I like to make memories and buy some.
Gotta be the center of attention.
Okay, we're here at the Denali Park store and Merino Grill. Gonna get some lunch and hopefully have some time for the visitor center as well. So we are here in the visitor center looking around, and right behind me is a big topographical map of the national park, including Mount McKinley, visitor center we're at, and the 6.1 million acres of land that make up Denali National Park.
So we had a great time up at Denali today. We did the Natural History Tour. It was fun. It wasn't as long as I thought it was going to be. After the tour, we got dropped back at the visitor center, as you saw. We had lunch at the Merino Grill. Went to the visitor center and the bookstore.